Sydney.
And I'm Jono.
And we're bike gearheads, and today we're going to be talking about the Cervelo Caledonia.
Yes, long-term review. So I've been riding this bike all year, and I have lots to say about it.
What's the longest ride you've done on it?
120 miles or so.
Wow,
It was like a long climby day early in the season. Did a lot of mountain climbing.
Nice.
And I think it was around like 7 hours of saddle time. Yeah, it was a long day.
How were you feeling after that?
I was doing all right. I wasn't too beat up. My legs were hurting, but I was not beat up.
So kind of going off of that, how does it ride? Like, how would you describe it feeling when you're out on the road?
First of all, it's not as twitchy as a race bike. So it's going to be similar to a gravel bike, like the Cervelo Aspero, which we'll dive into later, the whole lineup. But I'd say it's a mix of like their R5 and the Cervelo Aspero gravel bike.
Oh,
so like if you take those two geocharts and you cram them together, you're going to come out with a Caledonia.
Speaking of geometry, let's talk about it.
So I'm riding the 58. With that, you're going to have a reach of 396 millimeters. The stack is going to be 605. So on this bike, the stack is a little bit higher than you'll find on the R5.
Interesting.
Which, you know, makes it more endurance,
more
comfortable. Yeah. And if you want a racy position, you can slam that stem. Head tube angle is 72 degrees. The seat tube angle is 73 degrees. And the wheelbase is going to be 1,030. So that is going to be kind of split between the R5 and the Aspero.
Yeah.
And then same for chainstay length, it splits the difference. Touching more on like how it rides, I would say it's super confidence inspiring on the descents because of the geo. It's not like twitchy descending, so like you can bomb straight down steep stuff. Like we have one here in Park City, a road that's pretty famous for that. And I was very comfortable. I think I hit like 62 on that bike. And I was like, that's nothing.
God.
Give me a tailwind, I want to go faster.
Well, now we know how it goes down the descents. How does it do climbing?
Just as well.
Really?
Really. It's got a stiff bottom bracket. It's a BB right. So laterally, like when you're out of the saddle, you feel like all your power is going to the back wheel, which is great. It's what you want. But it's still compliant, so you're not getting beat up.
Who sprints climbing, though?
I mean, I do.
Come on, man.
When you get near the top?
I'm just trying to make it to the top.
Well, when you're near the top and someone's right behind you, you want to just take off.
That's true.
And it's great for that.
So if you look on our website, we have two different versions of the Caledonia, the one you see behind me and also the Caledonia 5. Jono, can you tell us kind of the differences between the two? For
sure. So the Caledonia 5 is going to have integrated cable routing through the bars in the stem. So it's going to be a little more aero. And it also comes with a D-shaped seat post. But on this bike, it doesn't have that. So nothing proprietary. You can run any stem, any handlebar, any seat post you want, which is really nice.
Yeah, especially today's age. I feel like it's almost more rare to find a bike that doesn't have proprietary parts compared to just being able to run whatever.
Exactly.
So that's cool.
And I've ridden both, and I can say both bikes ride the same.
Really?
So you're not losing out a whole lot if you don't want to spend the money to go to the 5.
Yeah, that's good to know.
Me personally, I love the regular Caledonia. I love non-integrated cabling. For me, it's easier to travel, and
it's true.
I travel a lot for work, so it's nice and easy to pack this one up.
Yeah, I think my favorite feature is that you can run really thick tires, so you can get up to 34s, and it also has an option to put on fenders, and I live in a very cold, wet climate for many months of the year, so big fan of that. And I will say, though, that does take your tire clearance down to 31s compared to 34s, but it's worth it, in my opinion.
Yeah, good winter training bike.
Yeah. So I noticed you're running a 1x. Is that a common setup for this bike?
So it is an option with the frame. They have a removable front derailleur mount, so you can put a plate there that replaces that, and it looks super clean.
Very cool. Yeah. So you touched on the bottom bracket. What can you tell me about that?
So it is a BB right, like mini Cervelos.
Yeah.
There's some newer ones that are going away from that with threads, but this one is a BB right, and I will say I've had 0 creaks out of it. I have 2,000 miles on it so far, and yeah, it's quiet, which for me is a huge deal. I can't ride a creaky bike.
No.
So having a quiet bike is awesome, and this one has been super quiet.
As an owner of the Cervelo R5 and the Cervelo Aspero, I'm a big fan of Cervelos. How does this bike line up compared to my bikes?
It's kind of a in between of like I said, the R5 and the Aspero. If you take those geometry numbers, you cram them together, you're going to come out with this bike. But it's not a gravel bike. It can definitely do it. If you see like a cool gravel road, you can definitely hit it, but you're not gonna be as fast as you would be on an Aspero.
Could it do like SBT gravel?
It could potentially, if you don't mind a harsher ride.
Yeah.
I think the bike's capable of it. We did see this bike in Paris-Roubaix, so it can handle the cobbles. Cool. If it can handle the cobbles, I think it can handle gravel.
Yeah, definitely.
I think Paris-Roubaix is probably rougher than SBT gravel.
For sure, 100%.
You could do it, but there are better bikes for that.
Yeah. So when I look on the site, I notice there's a lot of different builds. What can you tell me about those?
There are. So right now we actually have 4 exclusive builds that we've created in-house using the frame. But with that, there's some pretty good deals and some pretty awesome specs for the money. Starting with a rival axis carbon wheel set option.
Very cool.
And then we have a force axis carbon wheel option. And then we jumped over to Shimano. And with that, we have Ultegra Di2 carbon wheels and also 105 carbon wheel option. And if you don't like any of those exclusive builds,
be sure to reach out to a Gearhead. They can answer any questions and help you build the bike that fits your budget and your riding style.
Yep, and they can even help you customize those exclusive builds a little further.
Speaking of modified builds, I noticed yours is a little unique. Let's hear about it.
It's a little different than what you're gonna find on the website. So I decided to go with SRAM Rival Axis. So I have the Explorer, cassette, and derailleur in the rear. And then up front, I have a 48 tooth chainring. So a little bit better range than my normal mid-compact setup, but of course there's gonna be bigger jumps in between. So 1x is not for everyone, but for me, I've been loving it, and I think my next road bike will be 1x2.
Who is this bike for?
This is gonna be for the person that wants to ride all day, cares about comfort, doesn't race all the time, but still wants to do the occasional race. I'd say this bike, you're not gonna have any issues with that. It's a fast endurance bike, and it's comfortable. So you can take it on some gnarly roads or light gravel, which is pretty cool. Not all road bikes you'd want to do that on, but this one has the compliance to do that. It's the bike that Cervelo fans are not drooling over, but I think it's the bike that most should be riding.
All right, Jono, the big question. How much does your bike weigh?
I don't know. Let's weigh it.
Perfect.
What do you think it weighs, Sydney?
18 pounds.
18 pounds, huh? All right. I'm going to go with 19. Oh, kilograms. What's that?
What's
For the people at home that want kilograms, it's 8.21. And if you're in America, 18.4.
Wow, 18.4. And that's a wrap on our long-term review of the Cervelo Caledonia. If you're curious, reach out to a Gearhead and they can answer any questions and help you build up an exclusive build.
Yeah, if you like this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. See you out on the roads.